Let me guess, you're constantly battling the unique demands of shift work, aren't you? Feeling relentless fatigue, brain fog, or the health challenges that come with those irregular hours. Well, it's time to stop just surviving your shifts and really start thriving. At A Healthy Shift, we're revolutionising workplace wellbeing for 24/7 teams. As a veteran shift worker for over 40 years, I know exactly what you're up against, and that's why we've built something truly groundbreaking, the seminar experience. Now, this isn't just a keynote, it's a completely new evidence-based program which is designed to empower entire shift-working workforces. I want you to imagine your team armed with the strategies to optimise their sleep, boost their energy, and elevate their health, no matter what schedule they're on. Our core keynote is powerful, but we also offer specialised add-on workshops, which cover deep dives into women in shift work, how to work your own roster optimally, as well as fatigue management for managers. We need your help to bring this transformation to your workplace. Managers want to invest in their teams, but they need to know that we exist. Are you ready to bring real, lasting change to your colleagues and your organisation? Go and visit ahealthyshift.com. That's ahealthyshift.com and follow the seminar experience link up the top, where you can download our detailed e-brochure, or you can simply follow the link in the show notes. Let's help your workforce thrive, not just survive.
On the night shift, you found another home. I know you're not alone. The night shift.
Every couple of weeks we catch up with Roger Sutherland, who worked as a law enforcement officer, police person. Almost, how many years?
40.
40 years. These days coaches shift workers, all about the shift work. So shift workers around Australia, we salute you. Roger, good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, I want to retract a statement that I made on the last show.
Oh,
I said whoever wins this game between Hawthorn and Geelong will go on to win the flag. Not only did my Hawks not win, but Geelong did not win the flag either.
No, so
It aged like milk in the sun.
I should have rung you. I forgot that you'd actually said that.
What a stupid thing to say that was.
You did. You said, whoever wins this will
Whoever
win the
wins
grand
this
final.
wins the granny.
Well,
Well, my Hawks lost well, and of course the Cats didn't turn up after half time.
we were talking about it yesterday with
It was really ordinary.
with Petraka looking to leave the Mighty D's. My little heart has been pulsating something fierce for the last few days.
I think there's going to be an awful lot of movement.
There
in
is
this
already.
over. There's been a lot of there's a lot of talk, and there's always a lot of talk this time of the year. I am, as a Hawthorn supporter, I am actually hoping that Merritt lands there. I think that would be a really good get for Hawthorn Footy Club in the centre with what we need, because we seriously missed a midfielder in that prelim final.
Okay, thank you. You should be a selector. Do they don't call them selectors, a recruiter.
No, I listened to 3AW. What they
There
said.
you go. Thank you. What they said.
What they said.
What they said. You can join the program. Feel free if you've got a question, anything to do with it. We talk about law and order and some of the other affiliated issues for the great state of Victoria and right around Australia. Because I think whilst we're based here at 3AW in Melbourne,
Yes.
I think there are models very similar, not that dissimilar, happening in other parts of Australia, including WA, including South Australia. And so jump on board if you'd like to have your say. 133 693. For those in Perth, 133 882. I don't know where we start. I've
got a question for you.
Okay, go.
How would you like to be a police officer in Australia at the moment?
Oh, well, I said that to Grubby in the preview of the program with Grubby here on 3AW. I don't know that I would, and I'm not too sure that's good. We want young people to actually consider a life of
we do.
service so desperately.
Well, I think one of the biggest problems now is when we first started in the police, I started back in the 80s, 84 I was sworn in.
Did you feel like that was an honour to serve?
Oh, absolutely. It was huge. And it was the people that were joining then were not people that thought, I might just join the police force, I think. They were people that were really set on joining. They were going to be career police. You know, a lot of my squad stuck it out for a good 20, 25 years. There's only two of us left still serving now. but we're in a
Well,
position.
you're not there. We should
Not
put
now.
that you're not there, but there's
No, I'm not.
still two left.
There's still two left
Okay,
out of
hang
my
on.
squad that are still serving. Yes, and I think in policing, I communicate with police in WA, South Australia. I also speak to police in Queensland and New South Wales as well. The frustration is absolutely through the roof. It is through the roof, and we saw the incident. And I think about this. Let's just simplify this. All right, simplify it right down. School holidays, Burke Street Mall. And we've got a car coming into the city and coming up Burke Street Mall that's loaded with 4 people that were released on bail previously for offences and were driving a car that's stolen, that's taken off into a shopping centre. It would have been terrifying for people that were watching. And the police arrest them. One of them gets bail, and I think the subsequent 3 that were remanded overnight ended up getting bail the following day. How would you like to be a police officer that's gone through all that, done the paperwork, away from their own families, away from the people that they love and adore, processing these offenders, to have them back out in the street laughing at them again the next day? And that's why we're losing officers.
And I think there's a lot of merit in what you're saying. But I always go back to, perhaps irritatingly so, that the only people that can change that system is our members of parliament. They're the only ones who can do that.
Yeah, well,
So we've been having this conversation now for months and months and months and months. Nothing seems to have changed. I think there was some regulations that kicked in yesterday, first day of the month, so that's toughened up a little bit. What impact, if any, will that have?
well, I don't know, but I do. I do subscribe to having a look at what's been done elsewhere in the world. Like, we've tried this way and it's not working, and it hasn't worked. We have a duty to protect our public that are living in their homes, and their cars that are parked in their garages should be there when they wake up in the morning and want to go to work. And people that are up and about at this time of the night should not be in fear of who's going to be walking around or knocking on their door. We've tried this way. It's not working. What about Singaporean law?
Well,
Why can't we go the opposite, the extreme opposite?
You look at what President Trump's doing in America. We're in certain cities around, and he's explicit about putting the military in there. They
Washington,
will sort
DC,
it out.
put the military. Now, whether I don't subscribe to utilising the military for it, I think we've got a massive problem now in hemorrhaging of police from Victoria. I was talking to someone. I was talking to someone the other day about policing who's actually in an academy, and was talking about, not in Victoria Police Academy, to be clear, but is in an academy that's offering very, very attractive offers to police officers from outside of that state. All right. So New Zealand, hemorrhaging something fierce, hemorrhaging something awful, and they're coming over to Australia and going through the academy here.
Because why?
Because they just don't feel safe, and they've just absolutely had enough in New Zealand, and they're coming over because of the attractive offers. Now I hear that the New Zealand police are now offering massive incentives for them to come back. You can take any job, you can go and do anything you want just to come back. And they're just going, no. See, they don't carry firearms in New Zealand at all.
Let's take this call. John, you say you're an ex-officer. What do you put it all down to? John, good morning.
Yeah, g'day, mate. Hi, Rog. It's JD here, by the way.
Oh, JD.
Long time. Yeah, g'day, mate.
Very long time.
Listen, I just want to. We've got a serious problem in this state, the rising crime, and I put it down to a very soft left-wing government. And we now have a chief commissioner from New Zealand who's coming out of retirement when he was chief commissioner in a left-wing government in New Zealand. And tell me this. What is the problem when you don't have one senior police officer in any state of Australia or in Victoria is not suitable to be our chief? There is something seriously wrong with our police force, and it's all due to this government that we have in this country right now, in this state. And this is the problem. And people have had a gutful. And I've got to say, over the years, and I sound like I'm a bit bitter and twisted, after being in the job for 36 years. But everything comes down to decisions made by the Labor government in this state, and it's resulted in what we have now is the highest crime rate ever in the last 14 years, I think it is now, and we don't even have the Chief Commissioner get up publicly on radio or TV, nor the Premier publicly on radio TV and try and reassure the state of Victoria, except for a press release. Come on, guys. There's something seriously wrong in this state, and I put it down to, and look, I'm a Conservative, I'm a police officer, retired, but got to say there's something seriously wrong with what's going on in Victoria.
Yeah,
and in
look, I don't
Australia.
think that's a great call. Sorry, John. I was just going to say it's a great call, and I thank you for that comment. We've had dozens and dozens and dozens of people talking and saying exactly the same thing, Rod.
Yeah, well, JD, I wanted to talk about that situation with the Premier and the Chief the other day, with him covering for her at that Remembrance Day service. Now, that service was there for the police and it's in honour of the police, and it was not the time to ask the questions around that. So I look after. I support the Chief in that, but let me just say this. They walked right into that because...
Who's they?
The Premier and the Chief Commissioner
Right, okay.
walked right into that because they hadn't... The crime stats were released, and where were they? They're Casper. There's nowhere to be seen. And that was the first opportunity.
What would be
that
the
press
expectation about
conference-
that, though? When those stats came out,
Well, they knew they were coming, and they wouldn't.
course
They
they would.
well and truly would have known exactly what was in those stats, and knew that there was going to be a backlash from it, a backlash from it. So what they should have been doing is they should have been on the front foot, called a press conference, handed out the crime stats, They only gave the crime stats out, I think, something like an hour beforehand, which is not enough time for people to go through it. It's all very cunning by the government, and they knew that was coming. They should have called a press conference and held the press conference so that it was all done and dealt with and answered the tough questions and reassured the public. I totally agree with JD on this.
The public right around Australia is desperately seeking heightened levels of reassurance, and it doesn't seem to be there.
There's no level of reassurance.
133693 is our telephone number. We'll do this. Come back and have a call. Thank you, John, for yours. You've kicked it off beautifully for us. Roger Sutherland is here, former police officer, 40 plus years. 133693. You can send a text 0477 693 693 for Australia overnight. Lots of text, which is great. We need some calls, so come and have your say. 133693. It was reported the boys from Bendigo, Yarra Rangers.
Yep.
A car stolen in the Q area. It needs to be asked why boys are coming from places like Bendigo and connecting with others. So, is there a cultural thing
So that
about
they came. Now, what they're referring to here is they're referring to the four that came out of that BMW in the city,
did,
right?
yeah, right, okay.
And there were some from Bendigo, some from Yarra Rangers. And the question is, how did they connect? Well, work it out. It's organised. The whole thing is like organised. What they're doing, how they're going about it. You got to remember their plan.
We've just got to be a bit careful because these matters are before courts now, or they will be
understand
very
that.
shortly, as you well and truly know. So remove that for a moment, that the idea of these people communicating with each other, which social media plays an enormous role in that.
Yes, it does. You got to remember they were disrupted from doing whatever they were doing at the time. Their plan wasn't to drive into the Burke Street Mall and run off into Emporium. So they were picked up out on the Eastern Freeway driving erratically in a stolen vehicle. It was stolen the day before from Q. So what were they up to? What had they been up to overnight, the night before, during the day? Now, that's obviously another issue. But the thing is, this is all organised. And that's how people from Bendigo are liaising with people from Yarra Rangers and things like that. And if you don't think that, and you think it's just people think that it's just pure luck, that it's pure coincidence that they're together. And I think it was released. Someone was discussing it on the radio here in Melbourne, saying that there's like 1,100 known offenders in a group, like 1,100 known. And they're all communicating and networking. And I actually, well, what about the ones that have infiltrated the ankle bracelet companies and just basically turned off the monitoring?
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? They just got the money together to buy the company out and then just turned it off.
I have friends in South Africa, says this one from Kaz, hello. I have friends in South Africa who said they moved here 10 years ago for a safer, better life. Now it's just as bad as things were at that time in South Africa.
Yeah. I think it's. I'm going into town on Friday night. I've got my retirement function actually on Friday night. It's only 13 months after, but I've got a retirement function in town, and it worries me going into town, taking my partner into town. No, I would rather just stay at home and just do the home thing.
And it shouldn't
Shouldn't
be
be
that
like
way. We've got the Lord Mayor in Melbourne saying Melbourne is a safe place, and
You've got to be joking.
People are not so sure that that's the case. That becomes
It's smoke and mirrors.
The perception becomes the reality.
What people are seeing and hearing is what's actually going on, and not to mention what's not being reported as well. And people don't want to step over homeless people in the streets while they're in town. You know, you don't want to go out in town with your loved one, walking to a restaurant, stepping over homeless people and walking around camps and places like in town. You don't want to be doing that. No. And what sort of an image does this paint? How many tourists were in the Burke Street Mall the other day when that happened that are going, I heard about this, but I didn't think I would be part of it.
A quick pause from today's topic for something vital for every shift worker. That's right, that's you. Now, you know the relentless grind, constant fatigue, struggles with sleep, and that feeling your energy just isn't where it should be. And this is a common story in 24/7 roles, but it just doesn't have to be your workforces. At A Healthy Shift, I've combined 4 decades of frontline experience with cutting-edge science to create the seminar experience. Now, this isn't just a basic workshop. It's a comprehensive, game-changing program that is built to give entire workforces actionable strategies that they need to truly master their wellbeing on any schedule. And they're implemented immediately. Now, beyond the powerful core keynote, I offer specialised add-on workshops which dive deep into women and shift work, fatigue management, and how to work your own roster. Now, these tools empower your colleagues to thrive, improve performance, and boost their health, helping your organisation to retain valuable staff. Now, if you believe your workforce deserves better, speak up, because your managers won't know about this vital resource. Click the link in the show notes, download the e-brochure, and put it up the line. Invest in your team's most valuable asset, their health.
133693 is our telephone number, 133693. Come and have your say. Or you can send a text, 0477693693. Just before we came on air, you were talking about digital ID.
Yep.
And I said, I'm not too sure. I think we're already got, our ID is recognisable pretty much all the time anyway, by the fact that we have a mobile phone, isn't it?
We do. No doubt they know where, what, how, what we're spending our money on and doing. I mean, you got to remember that COVID brought about this basically made us a cashless society. So wherever we tap, someone's monitoring what we're buying, what we're doing, where we are, everything like that. So it's, unless you're out in my suburb, which is still all the Italians using cash, so no one knows where they are, which is typical. Lots of cash. It's surprising when they say they hold their hand out for the cash, and I go to tap my card.
Weird.
They have to find the FPOS machine, right? Yeah. It's funny how different communities.
Well, I went to pay for something the other day, and the person said, "Are you going to put that on Afterpay?"
Afterpay. Yeah, I was shocked at that. Are you going to do Afterpay with this?
You're going to Afterpay.
Yeah, because people are doing that. And once again, that would be a demographic. And like in my area, it's all cash money. The cash would be stashed.
But historically, that's had its own problems, hasn't it?
Well, it's a problem for the government, isn't it? Because they can't track what's happening, who's purchasing what when it's done by cash. That's a real problem there. So what we do is, now we're talking about the digital ID in the UK that they want to introduce. Every single person has to have it. And I think we are dreaming here if we don't think that with the introduction of this under 16, that it's, I personally, this is my personal opinion, I actually believe it's insincere of the government. They're going to actually have everyone's ID around social media. This is my point.
Each and every one of us.
Well, they're going to have to. Well, unless you're not on social media. Because how else are you going to prove that someone's over or under 16 years of age? Like, Roger runs his business on Instagram, and he's going to have to provide ID to prove that he is over the age of 16 years of age to do that. And Tony McManus has got his Facebook account or his Twitter account, and you're going to have to produce ID to show that you're over 16. So effectively, they are getting the ID off every single person that's on social media, or you turn your social media off. And that's the idea, to stop all the communication going on in the background by the extreme, the Conservatives.
Jill, come and say hi. Good morning to you.
Oh, hello, lads. Look, just before I get on to my question to Roger,
Yes.
I was reading an article today. Apparently none of the age assurance programs work properly anyway, and I'm against the whole thing. So there we go.
I agree.
Now, Roger, I've got sorry, I just, don't know how much time there is. Roger, I've got a question for you about police chases, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, cheers. Okay. Now, look, this could be from TV, but, for years and years in Australia, mainly Victoria that I'm aware of, we see and hear a lot the police chases where, some hoons start off maybe in Dandenong and then they're chased for hours, ending up, in the city, and there's a police helicopter surveying them as they go, and some police cars chase them, etc. And this always seems to follow the same pattern. What I've been wondering for years is, do police never sort of phone ahead to other police stations to sort of set up a roadblock or something? Do you know what that's all about? I've never understood why this sort of weird chasing thing, endangering all and sundry for hours and hours when they might be able to be stopped maybe a few blocks up the road.
Okay. Now, as an ex-supervisor,
Great question.
I can talk about that. We're not allowed to set roadblocks up. Full stop. So roadblocks are not to be used. It's a departmental instruction that you are not to use a roadblock. So you're not to put other people of. I don't know whether you remember, but there was the incident on the Tullamarine Freeway here in Melbourne where Highway Patrol members used members of the public to sort of block the road so that this stolen car couldn't come through, and it crashed into the cars and it caused a problem. So the policy came in that wasn't to happen. So we're not allowed to do road blocks. Now, the other thing I want to say, and let's be clear on the discussion around chasing, right? Because there's a pursuit and then there's a follow, right? So this is a play on words that a lot of officers are actually using. I believe technically a pursuit is if the person that you're following knows that you're chasing them, it's a pursuit. End of story, because you're trying to intercept them or you're trying to stop them and they take off. And if they take off, then they've evaded you and that's the end of the offence. Then the police have to stop. They have to stop.
Under the law.
They're not allowed to chase them.
Under the law?
Under the law. They're not allowed to chase them under policy from Victoria Police. Now, there's so much confusion around the legislation. So what they do is they don't try and stop them. They just follow them. And the air wing, the police helicopter, is used as an aerial platform, right? It's an aerial platform observing these cars that are driving, and they just use them to call locations and where they are. And technically, the police vehicles are sitting out of sight and away, ready, waiting for this car to pull into a driveway or to stop at an address or to do things like that. So it's not a chase, it's called a follow. But if that car now, they're wise to it, they do U-turns and then they go back and see how many cars are following them. As soon as they can see that there's a car, a police vehicle that's following them, if that police vehicle takes off after it, it's a pursuit. But they're not calling it a pursuit, and this is the issue. And they go on forever on the radio. They go on forever. And it's putting people in danger with what they're doing. But we have to either stop them or we have to just let it go. And now the policy is to let it go.
This is not like a 3-minute segment in a TV show.
No.
And therein lies part of the problem as
The
well.
policy is to let
Jill,
them
does
go.
any of that resonate?
Oh, yeah, no, it's very interesting to hear it explained, Roger.
Yep.
I just wanted to know, the thing is what you said about the roadblock earlier at the Tullamarine incident.
Yep.
I do remember that very well, actually.
Yes.
But my understanding was that it wasn't the roadblock itself. It was the fact that they were using, non-police civilians, just random people,
That's correct.
to form this roadblock, which was absolutely ridiculous
Yes, it
and
was.
very unprofessional. But to set up a roadblock in itself, to my mind, is not unprofessional. It's the fact of how they did it that was really bad. But a roadblock itself would have, I don't know how it would have ended up. But as I say, I was wondering why roadblocks themselves, not using citizens and just grabbing anyone to set up a roadblock. You don't do that. That's what puts people in danger.
But they're running through
the
police
area and
vehicles.
set up a proper roadblock would, to my mind, have been, anyway, that's why I was
What would
wondering
you
why
use
it
as a
wasn't done.
roadblock?
Well, that's for police to work out how to do these things efficiently.
Agreed.
I'm just asking you why there isn't such a system and what's stopping it and whether it would be effective.
We'll talk about that when we come back.
Yeah, well,
I've got a discussion on that, but we'll talk about that when we come back.
And we've got to do this. Jill, it's always good to hear from you. Thank you. Come and join us, 133693. And the text line, we'll get to them in just a moment as well, 0477 693 693. One text there for you, Roger. Will it be easy if we all get microchipped? Get microchipped nice and soon. Well, I just wonder. In a different world, it's almost futuristic. We'll all have some sort of chip in our head and our brain or our ear, and we'll all be controlled.
Will we be able to pay at the FPOS with it?
Well, yes, pretty much yes. We'll all have electric cars, so they'll be able to
Just get in to know who the driver is.
Exactly right. We'll know who it is, and the governments will be able to control the cars.
I just want to be a person.
Well,
just want to be a
I think
person.
those days are gone.
Yeah.
I think that horse has bolted. We've abused it sufficiently.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I think we've lost control. Put it this way, let's just simplify it. Where are we at today? Where are we at today? We have to do something completely different because we have lost control now. We have completely lost control.
It feels like that for a lot of people.
And it's not just Victoria. We're talking to New South Wales, Queensland, policing worldwide, actually, South Africa, New Zealand. I communicate with police officers in the UK. They're hemorrhaging something fierce there as well. It's not just here. So why is that?
VID is being used widely. What's VID?
I'm not 100% sure.
You'll have to let us know. 700. What is it?
Give us another go, VID. I don't know.
Virtual ID. Virtual ID.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Virtual ID. Thank you for that. See, the young ones know what it stands for. Don't we hate acronyms? That's part of the problem as well.
You chip me all the time.
That's it. Thank you. Jimmy, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
You wanted to say?
I wanted. No, I can't even remember.
Jimmy, we'll come back to you in just a moment. Leanne, good morning to you. Hello.
Good morning, Tony and Roger and Jackson.
Morning,
Roger, don't the Victorian Police have road spites?
Yes, they do. And I was literally just discussing this with Tony in that break because I wanted to talk about that with roadblocks. Is that what you're talking about? Yep.
Yeah, no, but I also want to tell you that there's a new thing in America called a grappler.
Yes, it's fantastic.
What's a grappler? What is it?
The grappler's great. It comes out of the front of the police car. It sits in the police car, and they can get right up behind the car, and it actually wraps around the axle.
Called a murderer.
Yeah, and it stops the car. It fires an anchor, for want of a better word. It fires an anchor towards the car, and it wraps around the axle of the car, and then the police car just slows down, which forces the other car to slow down. If they try and keep going, it just tears the axle out of the car. Fantastic.
Also, there's a net that goes over the top of the car that stops him getting out of the car.
Yeah, that's right, with the nets. Yeah,
Very clever.
I've got another theory. I've got a friend of mine at the Poly, and I've discussed this with him numerous times. Don't tell me today there is not a laser-style technology available that can shut a vehicle down from a distance. And I would suspect with the electronics in a car today, I've said to him, you should be able to fire a laser at a car, not like Star Wars type laser. I'm talking with pinpoint accuracy to be able to shut down the electronics in a car and stop it instantly. Surely that technology is available. Surely.
Apparently not.
But apparently not.
Because otherwise, if there was, you would think that would be available using.
But the military would be using that.
When we're all driving electric cars, you would imagine that would be an easy get because the cars will have to communicate
But not only that, but a lot of cars run the electronics in the cars full stop anyway. That must be in a position where the military would definitely be using that type of technology to shut things down and stop things. I can't see why we can't be using that.
Leanne, thank you. It's a very good point. A vehicle interception device.
TFDs, tire deflating device, TDF. TDDs, whatever.
Lots of various texts. When you send a little text, sometimes when you send the text, in your mind, it's a very important point.
Yep.
And I say this with great respect. By the time we read it, we go, well, what is it to which you refer? So it's just M here from East Melbourne says, hopefully I get the right one. The right what?
Yeah.
Not too sure.
As well.
Thank you. Artie, good morning.
Good morning, Tony, Mac, and Roger, and Jackson.
What do you see when you're out and about?
I was just wondering about the Police Museum. There was a highway patrol car there, which you'll know as the candy car, the yellow. Is that still there? If it's still around, via VL or VK, or I think it's the VL.
I don't know
which
if
was.
I communicate with the fellow. There is, sorry, Arthur, there's actually a guy on Instagram that is it VK, the number plate, VK Intercept or something like that. I can't remember it. He's communicated with me at length because I actually drove the very first VL Turbo for Victoria Police. I drove in an old VK 5-litre V8 manual and drove out in a 3-litre turbo. It was a manual because we only had manual police cars then. We had manuals at the Highway Patrol where I was, or the Tolgate was known then. So in answer to that question, I can't answer for the museum as to whether it's there, but you will see it on display at various events because there is an enthusiast that owns one that gets around to the demos. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, look, I had a lot of mates in Sunshine. I used to actually train them in the back of the station, kickboxing before they went out, and they let me sit in it. I was just fanatical about that VL, and I was hoping to try and get there sometime and take a picture of it.
I've got a picture of me with mine on my Instagram.
That's mad.
Yeah. So they were a great car, except the first time we drove it, I went down Beach Road to test it out. Now, I will say this.
You got pinged. You don't tell me you got
I didn't get pinged, but I didn't realise that there was an auto cutout on it. And I know when you're going round the corner and you're hanging it out, as you're going round the corner, going flat out, and the engine cutout cut in, it was hairy for a while.
1100 talked about in the program this morning here on 3AW, the crime stats, but that 1100 committing over allegedly 7,000 offences.
Yeah, and they know who they are, and that's the situation. But this is the frustration that the police have, Tony, that they know who they are, they know where they're moving, they know what they're doing, they do something with them and then they're back out. And that is on the government.
That comes
Full
back
stop.
to government.
It comes back to government every time. It's not the police.
And yet, you know, in this state, people voted for the government. Clearly, in a democracy, they voted for the government.
Yes, more than half.
And you'd have to say, in all likelihood, next year's election, the way it's looking, given the shape in which the opposition seems to be, in all likelihood, they would be re-elected.
Well, Brad Batten's starting to find his voice a little. He's been on the radio here talking about it.
But that's not
as
enough.
the opposition.
That's not
no,
enough.
I agree.
You've got to have this great team of people.
They should have been fighting for how long?
Exactly, long time. Yep. And that's part of the gaps, if you like, in democracy.
Absolutely, it is. Yep.
133693. We'll take your call straight after this. Come and join us. Roger Sutherland is here from A Healthy Shift. Roger, a 40-year veteran in policing. 133693 is the telephone number. I don't remember in my time, and nor would you, I wouldn't think, I would imagine a time where people across Australia are anxious as much as they are at the moment.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And as I said, I communicate with a lot. Everyone's got you got friends in Perth, obviously, and friends. You probably got friends Australia-wide.
Around Australia.
Everyone is talking about the same topic. It's not just Melbourne. It's not just Melbourne. And this is what the Victorians have to understand as well. It isn't just Melbourne. It is a lot around a lot of places.
What? And I've got to be careful how I put this. There are parts of the media, Australian media, which make an enormous effort to keep telling you how bad things are.
Yeah, we better be careful how we put that. Yeah, I think I agree. And social media is a killer for this.
And social media does that as
we
well.
spoke about confirmation bias last week, and I ended up recording a podcast on that, talking about confirmation bias. Not last week, the week before when I was on the show. Because if you are a conservative and you are clicking on conservative
Material.
content, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook,
What do you get back?
all conservative. They think, okay, this is what you want to see, so we'll keep showing you that. So then that just feeds into your confirmation bias around that. Now, if you are left and you want to, and you're clicking on and supporting that, of course, you're going to get all that. What I hate about it all at the moment is how divisive it is, and we can't have conversations around it anymore. It's become really ugly in conversation. And that was the thread of my podcast that I did on it.
The reason people are, just put that one up for me, Jackson. The reason people vote for existing government, 50% of the population, if that's right, unchecked, as the Brecky team would say, 50% of the people rely on the government for their income.
Correct.
Either employed by them or some support. People keep voting for Labor because they don't want the gravy train to stop.
And the allegation now is that the reason why the Premier took the 4 backbenchers to China is where are the backbenchers from and what are they trying to do about who are they wanting to get to vote for them in the next election as well? As in the 4 backbenchers, very Chinese-orientated areas. So they're, trying to get brownie points for people to vote for them in the next election.
I would have thought that was a long bow, though, but maybe not. Pete in Port Melbourne, hi.
Good evening, guys. Roger, I just want to ask you, that thing you said about the Singapore law, did you say that they should bring the Singapore law in Australia?
No, I said, should we try it? Should it be something?
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. We're not ready for that. I can tell you this now. Us as a nation, Australia, we are so scared of punishment by the laws and what it's written. We had a football player who punched a guy in the back of the head, and all the supporters of that team rang up and said he dealt with it out of court. They let him play.
Yeah.
They're too worried about their football player not playing the game. That poor guy got punched in the head, fell forward. He chased him from outside that nightclub, hit him, King hit him from behind. Lucky he didn't die. And people were ringing up and complaining that, no, he did not need to go to jail. He paid his dues with him. He settled out of court, so let him play. So what you're saying about the Singapore law, they'll be crying in the streets. People will be sooking like sooky babies.
I agree.
They don't know what's going to come for them.
Oh, no, that's right. But what's the solution? I agree. I agree. We're not ready for it because it would be such a culture shock for us here. But what we're doing now is not working. It's a mess right now. It is a mess.
Jim, you want to have a quick say? Hello.
No.
Jim, hold the line. We'll come back to you. Rodney, good morning to you. Hello.
How you going, Tony?
Really well.
Yeah, well, I reckon that Alan, she's got to go. There's no worries about that. And I don't think the Victorians are as stupid as people reckon they are. They must have been last time because they voted Andrews in. But Brad Batten and Sam Gross and a few of them, they've got time to turn around, and they will turn around.
They have time. You're right. They do.
If Labor gets back in, you will see people will go from this state, every day.
I think
they're doing it now.
I agree. And I think what is even more terrifying, Rodney, is what we will find is private enterprise will leave this state as well.
Exactly.
As in business will leave. Business will, not just people,
impacts on
but business will leave as well because they're done with being taxed.
Interesting text there. 713 says, Tony Mack and Rog, crimes happening hundreds of years ago, and that's why convicts were sent here.
Agreed. Yeah. They were all convicts here at that time.
For stealing a piece of cake, though. It wasn't sort of necessarily,
I know, but
brutality.
Arming yourself with machetes and breaking into people's houses, stealing cars, is a big up from what they were sent to Australia for back then.
We'd now long for those
Oh, we would long for
that level
the cake
of crime.
eaters.
The cake eaters from the UK. That's very funny. Thank you. Bring back the cake eaters. 4-2. Yeah, and then it brings us back to the discussion about elections and how our elections work in Australia, and we could do another hour just on that.
Yeah, could.
Have a look at what Roger does these days. It's called A Healthy Shift. Well, one word, ahealthyshift.com. Instagram @_healthy_shift.
Yep.
And some of the wonderful podcasts that you do, for
I'm
example.
I'm approaching episode 300 of the podcast as well at the moment, so I've done nearly 300. I think it's 296 we've just published, or that goes out on Friday. But we're coming up to 300, which is all podcasts around just strategies for shift workers to help shift workers with that. A Healthy Shift, I put information out again that helps people. Plenty of resources on the website, ahealthyshift.com. The seminars, I'm actually returning to Victoria Police to do a talk at Women in Policing out at Forest Hill Police Station on the 14th of October. I'm really excited about this.
Sure, that's fantastic.
So being invited back to help the ladies, because females really suffer with shift work more than males do. So I'm doing that.
It's nice to see you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
mate. Roger Sutherland from ahealthyshift.com. It is Australia Overnight. We lighten the mood. The other side.